You wrote about this in your book in non-traditional training ways. You have a chapter on that. How do you deal with those type of challenges? How do you think in non-traditional and train in non-traditional ways? And how did you see that impact
Yeah,
your
this is the
career?
chapter I call disaggregated learning. And I think that one has to always be creative with your training process and try to see the game in fresh new ways. Um, one example of disaggregated learning, or what it is exactly, is the idea that you may train in a way that seemingly has nothing to do with what it is that you're trying to do, or is less related, less practical, if you will. It's kind of like the position I was analyzing with Josh. Uh, but nowadays, for example, chess 960 or freestyle chess or chess 9LX, whatever they're going to call it these days, that's become a thing, right? And it's even becoming an important thing. And a lot of people might look at it and say, like, well, that's not really related to chess. I like the classical position, and and like that's what I should train. That's the way I should train. But training in this chaotic environment where pieces are all over the place and you can't predict from the opening exactly what moves you should be playing is precisely the kind of thing you should be doing because it gives you such a fresh perspective on chess. It frees up your brain in a creative way, and you look at the pieces differently. And there are times that we do get jaded as decent players. I don't consider myself a strong player, but just as a certain level, you're like, I've seen this before. I've seen that before. I've seen that before. And then suddenly 960 fresh positions or 959 fresh positions come along and you go, I ain't never seen that before. This is weird. This is funny how these pieces are in the wrong squares. How do you harmonize? And so to me, things like that, or playing games like shogi, for example, Japanese chess, those have a opportunity to give you a different perspective. Even things like Bug House, that every trainer of young kids will be like, don't play Bug House. But even something like that can give you a different perspective on the game and how it functions and what you can do and what you obviously can't do. So to me, you have to engage in this kind of disaggregated learning. Like you break down whatever it is you're doing and just train differently or practice certain things that you normally would think are impractical. It's like Steph Curry dribbling two basketballs. Like, why are you dribbling two basketballs? You will never have a chance in a basketball game to dribble two basketballs. Why would you even practice it? Is it an ego thing? And it's not the thing. It's to develop the kind of amazing coordination and muscle memory that allows you, once you only have one basketball, to feel like it could be in either hand and it's not anything to think about. And so these are the kind of varied training methods I think are very useful for people to develop their skills.
And it's also play at the same
And it's
time.
play, of course.
Play,
Yes.
play. And by the way, Fabi, you love to play Backhouse. Sometimes I'm like, okay, are we actually playing Backhouse again for like 3 hours? Is that the way we train for this particular game, or is this really useful, or is going to create some negative patterns in your mind in preparation for the next game? Which, as a coach, sometimes I'm like, okay, sure, go ahead, play, but you should also keep in mind that maybe you should limit that to a certain degree. At the same time, it's extremely important. Backhouse, Chess 960. You've been playing some Chess 960, Fabi, recently. How do you see the differences between patterns, and how do you adjust your pattern recognition system on the go?
Yeah, well, I think it's important, of course, that if I was, let's say advising the player, don't mess around constantly, right? Don't only be playing Blitz and Bughouse and never working on things that you might, encounter in a real game. Of course, you shouldn't be doing that all the time. But a lot of it, and especially if I were coaching a younger kid, I would definitely recommend that they keep it fun, which is the most important thing. That at least that you're having fun. If you're doing all the, like, let's say I can say all the serious stuff, like you're, analyzing every single variation of the Night Earth, and you're doing all the like really, really important serious stuff, and you're having no fun doing it, then it's probably going to be either a waste of time or bad for your chess, because you're just not going to be enjoying chess. So if you're doing something which you find fun, which is chess related, I really don't see an issue with it as long as it doesn't take 100% of your time and you're not doing stuff that will also improve your, let's say, understanding of the game. Of course, that's very important, but it doesn't have to be the whole thing. You can still mess around a bit. You can have fun. And when it comes to Fisher Random, I think that, yeah, it is helpful. First of all, because it takes away the crutch, which is that we have all this opening knowledge. And a lot of time we delegate our mental task to the knowledge that we have. We don't even think about the moves we're playing. It's just, okay, I'm making these moves because I know they're correct. So why would I waste time thinking about it? But in Fisher Random, you don't have that. So you're on your own from the very first move, and you have that responsibility. You can't for any second take it easy. While in a classical game, if I play like my first 10 moves, I know, okay, the Berlin and this and that I've seen a million times before, and I know I don't have to think, why is this move good? Because, well, I just know it is, right? And that's also a necessary part of classical chess, that you can't possibly think about every single move in your preparation. Why is it good? Because it'll take forever. You just have to kind of trust the computer, and that's practical chess. You trust the computer, then you go to the board, and at some point you start thinking on your own. So in Fisher Random, you can't do that, and it's helpful that you always have your thinking mode on. So you're never relaxed. You're always like, high alert that any move could be a blunder. Any move could be the end of the game, even from the first move. And I saw this sometimes in quite comical ways, and in some of the Fisher Random games where it's like, you make a few moves, you think, okay, whatever, and then you check with the engine after, and it's like, engine says, okay, move 2, white is worse. Move 4, now you're losing. It's like, how is it possible that I made 2 moves, and I saw one game, white made the first move and was worse, according to the engine. Like, how is that even theoretically possible? So yeah, it is useful, and it's also fun, which I think, as I mentioned, is an important part of it.
Would you actually recommend training like that? Let's say you're an aspiring chess player. Would you recommend occasionally taking a break and just going and practicing some chess 960, or finding a friend and playing, forcing yourself to think over the board and play some chess 960? Let's call it chess 960, I guess.
Sure, why not? Yeah, I would say go for it.
Maurice, how about yourself? You're
Yeah,
a coach
absolutely.
yourself as well. You've been training a couple of up and coming players.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a fantastic exercise. And you made this point. A lot of people, when they play, they have the moves memorized. They have their opening moves up to a point. But what happens when that new move lands on the board? And we know it happens. So it's going to happen. Let's just put it that way. It's going to happen. Right? And are you gonna blunder? Are you gonna panic? Are you gonna spend a lot of time on that move because you're, wow, is this a good move? Is this something my opponent has prepared? Like, you go through all the fear check boxes, all the emotional upheaval in that moment, and you just have to be cool. It's like it's just another move on the board, and to be always on that alert. Sooner or later, we're gonna see a different move, and things are gonna be okay. I'm just gonna play chess. That's a huge part of the process. So yeah, I highly recommend it.